Hey there, welcome to episode 104 of the FFS Talk audio program. I am your host, Dan Hugo. We are recording this at a little late today, 1:54 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Greater Vegas, where the weather has been a little weird. Looks like the sun is going to come out just in time for the big race tomorrow. Saturday. Today is Thursday, November 20th, 2025. I sometimes lose track. What day is it? That's why I try to say it every day into a microphone. Did I say Tuesday even? I don't know. Thursday, November 20th, 2025. It's 1:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in Vegas. Hopefully I got some of that right. The weather is leading to, you can hear the difference, I hope. Hopefully I'll make it through today's episode, which is something of a mini rant, but we'll get to that. Today's title and topic, modern speculation. If you are new to the FFS Talk audio program, not familiar perhaps, FFS is an abbreviation for an expression that I've heard most often either in Ireland or from Irish people. The FFS Talk audio program is intended to be a discussion, a conversation, a debate, maybe even an argument about various topics that are mentioned in the title, usually, and what works, what doesn't, and what we can do about them. And that's probably where the argument will start. We are 104 episodes in. There was an episode 0. We're at the end of season 2. So we'll commence, season 1, second season, season 0, season 1. There was an episode 0. I'll get it together. So we're coming to the end of this season 1, and we'll commence season 2 next week, ironically on Thanksgiving. So we'll be thankful for having another season of the FFS Talk audio program. Someday we'll start to have some guests. Part of my master plan, my overarching goal is to make it more easily possible to reach out into communities of city scale, probably. That's part of some of the stuff we're doing at the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. So a information sharing platform that isn't controlled by like local media companies or national media companies, but is a little bit more accessible. Press releases from startups should be easy. And there are some other components and whatnot. But anyway, so highlighting local content creators hopefully will be a thing. So I can start to do some more outreach. Even though I have a website, which I will mention again in the links, but even though I have a website, I'm still only sharing it with people who are listening. So I'm not really reaching new potential audience. Now, I don't monetize my content so far, and I don't really want to at this point. Certainly not these audio essays, and certainly not an argument or a conversation that leads somewhere interesting. We might talk about something else for video essays if the Hugo Floss program can get off the ground, which would be nice. That might be a different thing. But anyway, the take home, FFS Talk, what works, what doesn't, what can we do about it? Today will be me planting another seed of a future conversation, if we might speculate on such things. Modern speculation. Today, what do we know about tomorrow? Hopefully and by the way, if you don't know what FFS stands for, you need to either hang out in Dublin or somewhere in Ireland or meet more Irish people, especially if they're upset. So, hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a summary, which as far as I can see is one long sentence. Not too long. Don't worry, I'll read it to you. And then the links, and then we get on with the show. Thus, the summary. Predicting the weather was always something of a challenge. Getting it wrong could be costly in many ways. In the modern era, filling time or feeding an audience for clicks and views makes speculation essential, whether accurate or otherwise. I actually just finished reading a DK book on science, and it kind of goes through a smattering of science over hundreds of years, basically. And so the first prediction of weather involved, I think it was in England, if I remember. It was a lot of stuff in this book. I don't remember the person's name. We could probably Google it real quick, but that's for you to do later. They started collecting different temperature and other weather readings in different parts of the island. Somebody started writing them down and started correlating what happened to what might happen. and would try to come up with a speculative weather forecast and then would get the word out. The initial challenge was getting the word out in less than 2 days, so that the second day, so one day getting the word out so people would have it for the second day. Does that make sense? And so they had to predict the weather more than 2 days in advance, like maybe 3 days, right? And that was really difficult. And if the weather predictions were incorrect, you'd have ships leaving with cargo, hopefully finding some wind and some reasonably calm seas. So if they could predict that, great. But if the prediction was incorrect, you might not launch because you thought there was going to be inclement weather. So your cargo would stay at the dock for, till tomorrow. And who knows what that would lead to, food spoilage or whatnot. Or you might not have the wind, or there can be all kinds of circumstance. So the person who first started publishing weather forecasts in England, I want to say he lost his fortune. Again, too much stuff in that book. There was a lot of interesting little facts. But anyway, you can hunt that down and figure it out. If you're interested, the weather reporting today is, of course, very different. We'll probably touch on that. When I said weather accurate or otherwise, I was not using the weather, the other WH. Yeah. Okay. The links for today's episode, nothing in particular because this is a mini rant. I didn't really do any deep dives. I guess I could have tried to find I didn't really think about it until just now, the name of the person who first started weather forecasting. There was more to that story, to what he ended up doing later and so on, I think. FFS Talk homepage, ffstalk.com. It looks like FFstalk, ffstalk.com. Maybe this weekend I'll try to make my websites look a little bit better. I haven't even looked at the web traffic numbers. I do use Google Analytics for now. I know Google Analytics is kind of annoying, but I do try to avoid capturing and saving too much data. I'm really just more interested in how people get there. And that's okay, but I'm really interested if people are visiting. And then once I have all the pages for all the episodes and I connect it to the RSS feed so it automatically updates, then ideally it will be a place where people can visit to find actual episodes, a primary point of publication, so that when Spotify always has some issue going on, there will always be the home base to find episodes and links and so on. So it's a work in progress. I always tell people I have a to-do list. It's annoying, but anyway, when I can get the word out more, it will be much more important to have a functional website. You can still find my episodes, and there's still a link to where to find the episodes on that page. Okay, enough rationalizing. Profile page linking everything. This has been around for like 5 years. buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. It's a free-form profile page. It has links to all of my audio program episodes, including their Spotify for Creators portal page for each one. There's a YouTube channel for each one, and there is some sort of a homepage for each one. The Let's Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Let's Innovate for Vegas has its homepage as the foundation activity page. So that's innovateforvegas.org, for example. So that's not about the podcast. It's got a lot of other stuff, but it has the podcast on there. danhugo.com. That's my personal domain. I've had it for a long time. So Coffee Solo and Buy Me an Update appear there because they're sort of ad hoc shows for fun, I guess I could say. But then FFS Talk, cafegenius.org, and quaglingsand.com, ffstalk.com. They all have websites for bigger and even bigger plans. So anyway, links to all those, links to some affiliate links, to some projects I'm working on, a little bit of biographical information. The Buy Me an Update audio program does publish first on buymeacoffee.com/danhugo/posts. If you're interested in that, 5 minutes or less, previous week's audio programming, topics, and news and announcements. It's published on Monday mornings. Okay, enough about me. The mini rant shall commence. This is still an episode of FFS Talk, but it is also a little bit of a rant about this general notion that is bothersome to me, especially right now, like today, yesterday. I hope it is bothersome to you, and if not bothersome, at least fatiguing. Now, CNN, cable news, is it Cable News Network or Cable Network News? Either way. Ted Turner launched it in 1980. Before that, we had our nightly news, the news hour, if you like, the Sunday shows, the usual and expected ways to find out what might be going on in the world for about an hour, or maybe two if there was a local affiliate coverage episode of the news to watch. I think there was usually 5 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news. The local affiliate would take 30 minutes, I think, after each one. I think I'm going from memory here. I haven't turned on a television in over a decade, so I'm not sure. But the point is, we used to have news, and that was it. And you had a news audience, and that was it. And then there was 60 Minutes on Sunday night, and there was Meet the Press, and there was Nightline some night during the week. And so there were these news segments. They started and they ended, and that was it. And then you would watch it again next time. Now, CNN, when they launched, they had an entire channel that was on all the time, 24 hours a day, and it was in a growing number of time zones. I don't know if you've ever seen CNN in an airport. I've seen CNN in different countries. They became kind of the new standby, and so you could get news all the time, whether there was something interesting happening or not, or whether they were able to cover it or not, or get new information about it or not, etc. Today, we have 24-hour news, and thus 24-hour news cycles, which by the way, they were already a real thing because news is always happening. That's how time works. But now it is about news coverage and drawing an audience in 24 hours a day. From legacy outlets like CNN and Fox, whatever has become of NBC, CBS, ABC, I guess they still have licenses to broadcast. Fingers crossed for those guys. Except for maybe CBS. That might be a problem. Local affiliates, of course, independent outlets, amateurs, always available via YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and even the classic written word on websites like blogs and stuff. And then maybe some audio-only programming. That's the best, of course. And all of these need consumers, viewers, listeners, readers, so that the ads can flow or subscriptions can be maintained. Or in my case, just hopefully attract people to argue with. or maybe not. We can agree. That's allowed. What to do when there is no new news right now? Like, okay, we're all caught up. Now what? Well, let us imagine the future through speculation. Isn't that exciting? We live in a short attention span universe now. So when the news runs out, when we bring everybody current up to this very moment, how do we make sure that they want to stay tuned? We don't want them clicking away. They gotta remain. They gotta stay. They gotta keep asking for more. Coming up, what might happen next, perhaps? We are using this definition of speculation, the forming of a theory or conjecture without firm evidence. Guesses. Just to be clear, that's speculation. I don't want anybody to go off and speculate on what we might be talking about. Speculation is fun, sort of like conspiracy theories. We get to play what if, and the mind can go wild. We can go all the way into whatever ideology seems popular to a particular audience, a trending opinion. We can feed anger or excitement, the dopamine rush, maybe some adrenaline. Anything is possible. And if we can include someone who claims insider information or a subject matter expert or subject matter expertise to lend some credence to these theories, well, who knows? Maybe they are almost as good as facts. Almost. Now, there's a time and a place for speculation, so we're not painting with a broad brush across all instances of speculation. The question is, why the speculation? And maybe as simple as whether the conversation or presentation in whatever form is strictly to pad the views or clicks. It used to be back in the day to sell papers, sensationalist journalism, and so on. Or if it is actually valuable. We can sometimes tell over some time interval when speculation that is shown to be incorrect or maybe only partially correct is revisited and corrected perhaps, or at least called out as simply wrong. If this sounds like some sort of application of ethical journalism standards, you may be onto something. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you are in the modern world. So what works? There are some events, especially large-scale events with substantial impact, that need some speculation because future outcomes may have even more substantial impact. If we look way back to Desert Shield and then Desert Storm, the American invasion of Iraq with a coalition force, if I recall correctly, you were either with us or against us, but that's a different thing. Where CNN surely made a name for itself, if it had not already, thanks James Earl Jones for the logo bumpers, and not to mention, of course, Bernie Shaw and Wolf Blitzer spending a night in that hotel calling an air raid or an airstrike, one of those, either on live television, cable. This can work. Oh, sorry. What might come next was something that really did matter for a variety of reasons back then, right? So we wanted to know, are our forces going to be in harm's way tomorrow? What's developing now and into the next 30 seconds or 20 minutes or 6 hours? So speculation at wartime is probably appropriate. I think everybody understands the fog of war, that the speculations are just that, and so on. So, well, at least back then. So these weren't necessarily future facts, but they were whatever they were allowed to talk about and so on. Unless you were Geraldo Rivera pointing out troop locations in the sand or something. That was silly. This can work on a local level as well. If there is an event unfolding and informed experts or those with insight can offer some speculation to aid in near-term safety, response, and so on. The unfortunate events here in Vegas on October 1st, 2017, it was something of a mass shooting that I'm sure you've heard about, are an example where a dangerous situation may have benefited from speculation on the part of some to try to protect public safety, given the unfolding scenario. So what's happening and what could happen next? Are hospital rooms filling up? Should we consider going to another one, right? So near-term speculation was probably important. The speculation that followed is a different story entirely. There's still speculation going on to this day. It never really came to an end. I've literally seen people talking about the real story, and it's hard to say whether they're basing that on facts or wishful thinking or just for the clicks. A more obvious case for speculation comes in the form of your weather forecast, of course, which was a huge deal when that became a possibility for shipping and thus large-scale commerce. That's what made it popular back in the day. Today we can see weather forecasts for multiple days into the future, and they are often pretty close, sometimes spot on. This is a lot of historical data, a lot of current sensor data from on planet and from space, weather satellites, right? And a lot of supercomputing to compute and predict weather models. What might come from where we are right now for pressure systems and precipitation, moisture, humidity, barometer and humidity. Those are important numbers. Anyway, so it matters when speculating concerning catastrophe, when it comes true. Storm warnings matter. And if they end up being wrong, some people might be lucky and maybe even angry. How come you made us evacuate? Because we care. And others might not be so lucky. Oh, the storm missed this city, but it totally trounced that other city that we didn't give a warning to because we didn't know. We can only try. And it's sort of ironically, people get really upset when they get the weather report wrong, but they're not so upset when these other major things are not based on reality. It was a lab leak. Some speculation can be fun, lighthearted, interesting, but not so consequential. Which movie will do well this weekend? Is the baby a boy or a girl? Will they get engaged? Will they get divorced? These are often gossip around celebrity in the entertainment industry as it happens, because we all have our parasocial relationships with the people we see on small and big screens now, or on stage. And now business has its own celebrities with gossip around business deals and product releases and dudes with leather jackets getting on earnings calls. Those are likely a bit more consequential. So here we might consider what the motivation is, pure gossip or market manipulation, or somewhere in between, perhaps. So what does work? Well, this is the focus of this episode, of course. Speculation without responsibility, without some ethical foundation, without real subject matter expertise and credible bases, plural of bases for the educated guesses at possibility. Without any of those, we are left with motivated reasoning and other fun biases, not to be confused with bases, to build up future possibilities that match the preferred narrative, perhaps. Confirmation bias is real and a great way to draw that audience in, telling them not only what they want to hear or equivalent, but confirming the notions they already had in mind. Based on what? Vibes, trending topics, something they heard. It's one of my favorites. I heard that you say, where did you hear it? Oh, I don't know. Some speculation somewhere. obviously, so yeah, that just doesn't work. That's not a good thing. Uh, Obviously, speculation that is not correct, either with the best intentions or but bad outcomes, or as a result of irresponsible reporting and presentation, perhaps. And I'm not even going to, I mean, an agenda where you're trying to manipulate opinion and so on. That's kind of like market manipulation, but could be worse. It can often lead to others taking action or maybe inaction that can lead to catastrophe. This may not be right away. It can have a lingering effect that builds up over time. The ongoing speculation that remains uncorrected can skew opinion, can alter impressions, can lead to bad, even dangerous outcomes. We can speculate that they were eating the dogs. But what comes later? Oh, we were wrong. Sorry. Actually, if you ask that question now, I think you get a blank stare. What are you talking about? So yeah, these things don't work. Speculation for the sake of clicks and views, for clout, as they say sometimes, clout. I don't know if people still use that word, clout. For the likes, for the clicks, for the reputation, can linger long after it is shown to be wrong. Algorithms can feed older content to uninformed consumers who are not glued to their devices and so on. Although I don't know what that number is. It might be shrinking. Do they know whether this was a good guess or not? Quite often you will be presented with a recommended video on YouTube, for example, and you look at it and you're like, this sounds familiar. Oh, it's 3 months old. 3 months ago. Oh, why am I being shown this? Was what they said 3 months ago correct? Now you can look back in time and you can compare it to the present and see. But I know I already know how that turned out. So I don't do a direct comparison, but you can gather, yeah, was it a good guess or not? This is part of the so-called echo chamber, where similar speculative interpretations that might be overly kind, by calling them speculative interpretations, they could just be lies, who knows, are reposted, reacted to, replayed, and they become popular, suggested and recommended to an eager audience, possibly susceptible to confirmation bias in this repetitive form. Oh, I heard that this is something. Where'd you hear it? Oh, from videos from 3 months ago, 2 weeks ago, this morning. They all get intermingled. They all sound like they're saying the same things. They're replaying each other. They're clipping. Echo. And I'm including AI training in this mix, by the way. Where did your favorite AI tool learn from? Do you even know? I read the Empire of AI book. I think I've talked about this in a few episodes of my various programs now. I read it, and it's a weird book. Like, it wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it is sort of concerning. And sorry, one of Amazon's devices that I still have in use decided to participate out of nowhere. You know what Alexa Plus needs? Go watch a movie. Come back in 3 hours. That would be nice. Anyway, the training for ChatGPT, I can't remember. I think it was 2 or 3 or 3 to 4. I can't remember exactly. They really just started diving into Reddit. Now, Reddit is all manner of speculation, conjecture, random opinions, foul opinions, and so on. So I don't know what the value of that is sometimes, but Wikipedia training, okay. That's a little bit different. At least there's an attempt at responsible, with updates, responsible information gathering and reporting and so on. So that at least they have an editorial policy. Reddit, I don't know about that place. But if you're training a model and then building up opinions and having a tool that interprets news for you, or you ask it questions and it just tells you things and you believe them, some of that might be speculation. It's hard to say. I think the AI tools have been eventually, they're trying to tune them a little bit so that they actually say that this is unconfirmed, or I don't have information about that, but I don't know. I'm hearing more and more people, humans, with the YouTube channels and maybe in podcasts, that they will literally start a sentence with, I asked ChatGPT. Why? I don't use AI tools for the most part. Cover art, that's about the extent of it. I have used AI to summarize a document to see what it would pull from it. It's a fairly long document of several pages. So I can't say I haven't used AI, but I'm definitely not so willing to trust AI. Like, oh, I got an answer. That must be correct. No, thank you. No. So, but you have to be concerned because AI training based on speculation, if it reads speculate, or if it's trained on speculation, sort of technically it's reading it, but what impact does that have on how it will respond to certain chat prompts, right? I'm concerned. So what might we do about all of this? Well, this is pure speculation, of course, but I'm telling you that right up front. It's based on what I just said and some hopes and dreams, perhaps. Obviously and impossibly, we should expect more from those who practice speculation for the less good reasons. You know, if a meteorologist gets the weather wrong, but they're pretty close, okay, we understand that. If somebody guesses lottery numbers and they're wrong, yeah, okay, that's part of the game. Here in Vegas, if you guess a roulette number and you're wrong, that's part of the profit model, the motive, the business model, I should say, the profit motive. So some speculation is totally fine, or has acceptable margins for error that we understand or we accept at least. But some stuff, you know, just telling people things that they want to hear for the sake of the clicks and the revenue generation. You know, if I make a living publishing my audio programs, which I do not, then I would be inclined to say whatever people want to hear so that they continue to pay for a subscription or click on ads or boost my view counts, et cetera, et cetera. So if it's for the sake of their brand or revenue or cloud or some other agenda, that is not in keeping with, well, legitimate fact presentation and analysis. So if you do all those things and then you speculate and you're wrong and you tell people, oh, we were wrong about this, we were wrong. Maybe you even take down a video that was completely wrong. That happens often enough so that it makes news anytime anyone does it at this point, because it never happens. This requires a lot of critical thinking and a certain amount of pro-action, especially with regard to consuming from various sources and managing yourself, which sources tend to be more responsible, and then skewing your own consumption in those directions. So in other words, be mindful of your sources and how they treat speculation and how they follow up with it, whether they're trying to just farm clicks or actually be responsible in how they are proceeding. How do they treat their audience with respect or as a product, etc.? That's hard to do, and it's asking a lot of people. So we can't count on that. We can expect a lot more from platforms who construct sets of recommendations, often based on feeding your personal interests rather than feeding you with confirmed facts and validated speculators. In other words, they really want you to click and view and so on, that they can show you ads. So the motivation from the platform is about the same as for the content creators who are more interested in you staying on their channel or staying on their platform, whatever that takes. So being responsible and mindful of speculation and updating it later so that you're not feeding people what they want to hear but is wrong is an act of responsibility that we cannot always expect. We can hope for it. If your platform is irresponsible and you are inattentive, these first 2 points will not help us. So we either have to take action ourselves and be mindful of where we are hearing things from and whether they were correct. Like I said earlier, if I see something from 3 months ago, I might say, oh, were they correct at all? Nope, maybe, yes. We can do the same with the platforms. If a platform is pushing you in one direction or is feeding your desire for entertainment over your desire for factual information, and you keep hearing and seeing speculation and sensational, bogus content and so on, then you would have to be mindful of that if the platform isn't. So both of these 2 points, I don't know. Confidence is not high. I've made a similar suggestion previously for this third and final point. We may need to begin personalized AI tools, among them tools that can gather various news sources, thanks to agentic AI now, and interpret a series of events that make up a particular arc, a story arc if you like, and then correlate speculation with eventuality. So in other words, if you have an AI agent that you have said, I would like to keep track of these Epstein files, production by Street. I'm not trying to get political, but that is the story of the day. And it's something that I keep hearing speculation about, and it kind of made me want to create this episode today. What will happen next? That's all we hear now, because the That whole story arc has been all over the place. So people don't even care if it's speculation anymore. They just like, whoa, what's going to happen if this happens? Well, we'll find out tomorrow, but we may as well fill the space between now and then with rampant speculation. So if you were to actually have a tool that could keep track of all the news sources, right? Okay, we're going to watch these YouTube channels and these legacy media channels and these independent media channels, whatever, however you want to break it down. And honestly, your agent should be able to kind of weight those appropriately without you giving it that hint, but maybe, we'll see. Anyway, so you have it keeping track of these sources, and then as speculation is occurring, it can then back correlate. Speculation now, 10 days from now, speculation from 10 days ago versus what actually transpired over the last 10 days. And you can start to weigh or weight, not weigh. You can assign weights to different speculators, different channels, different people speaking, different subject matter experts, or allegedly. So you can actually start to do that, but not have someone else do it. You can actually do it for yourself, or your tools can do it with your interest in mind. And I think that might be an interesting application area. I think we're seeing this now sometimes, but not for the benefit of the individual, more for tools like Grok. The Google News app does some of this, but I don't know that they do it for your best interest. They just do it to group stories and elevate things that are maybe more interesting and possibly that are more topical. But I haven't seen any indication that they're trying to be more responsible. But Grok exists to interact with Twitter users, or whatever it's called now. And Grok is not always correct. I know Grok is being built and billed as a sort of an ego booster. Like Grok has to be better and faster than the others. And of course, Elon Musk and Sam Altman have their issues between each other. And Elon Musk was involved with OpenAI and before he wasn't, and now he's a competitor. So you kind of have to keep some of that in mind. But Grok is not always correct, and the motivation to be well-informed, a well-informed individual may maybe provide better motivation and a better return on investment for those who actually do care about these sorts of things, though, is not necessarily why Grok exists. So having your own personal version of a tool that you get to have some awareness of, and that you can actually know how it works and how it's training and which content, it's such a sterile word now, but which content it's actually consuming and how the opinions are being formed and what you're being shown. And maybe you can interact with it and suggest that you don't agree with it. I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities that where a personalized response system that can answer your questions or give you information that you know where it came from. Hey, my personalized news agent, tell me where you got these stories and which are tending to be more accurate in their speculation versus what actually transpires. That should be something we can actually do. Maybe another startup idea. So yeah, people that want this better news and the news that they can trust and speculation that's actually valid, not just for weather and for financial benefit, but just to have some idea what might happen and then what does happen and how those opinions are formed and how those speculative assertions are made and how they might be corrected or not and left to linger and still get views because they're sensational. So someone who actually cares. Is that you? I think it's me. I know that. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Keeping it short. I got 36 minutes on the clock, so probably come down to like 33, 34 with truncation of silence. My usual post-processing, very simple. Loudness normalization, noise reduction. I have to think. I just do it now. Loudness normalization to minus 23 LFs. The noise cancellation to hopefully get rid of some of the inductive loops around here. And then truncate silence so that we end up with a little bit tighter show. And that's it. That's all I do. No need to speculate. That's it. So thanks for listening as always. If you're not around for Thanksgiving, don't worry. There will be an episode of FFS Talk published sometime on Thanksgiving, which is on a Thursday this year. And then you can listen to it whenever you want. Thank you for listening this time, though. Take care now. And happy holidays whenever and wherever you celebrate them. Bye-bye.